Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades.
Hey, everybody. How are you doing out there in YouTube land? It is Gas Masks and Hand Grenades here, and I am your host, Jeff. My guest today is vocalist, sometimes bassist extraordinary of many bands and projects, so many that it's kind of mind-boggling. But he's mainly known for fronting two Texas bands, in particular the alt sleaze. I hate using that word, but that's what it says in Rate Your Music, so I went with it. You can punch me after I'm done here, Jason. Glam hard rock band Dangerous Toys and OG tech prog thrash metal legends Watchtower. He's also fronted bands such as Dirty Looks, Broken Teeth, Ignitor, and at least a half a dozen of other bands, and has over 20 albums under his belt. Last year, he also stepped in and under extremely stressful circumstances to fill in for John Bush and Mark Tornillo to keep the Armored Saint and Accept tours rolling when their singers both got sick. He's kind of like the Phil Demmel of vocalists in the metal realm. the go-to guy, right? And also in recent years, he's become a podcaster along with his co-host Metal Dave Glessner on Talk Louder, and is in general an all-around rock historian and seemingly very cool fellow. Plus my good buddy, Kelly Schaefer, speaks very highly of him. So he's got to be cool, right? What's up, Jason? How you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing fine. That's a mouthful.
It was a lot.
You had a lot.
I had a lot going on there. Yeah.
So much.
I like the Phil Demmel thing. I thought that was kind of apropos because Phil kind of has filled in for practically every band that you can think of as the guitar player. Now you're kind of doing that a little bit yourself, right?
Well, I don't know Phil very well, but we've bumped into each other a bunch of times, and I know that and we got on. Well, this would have been when he was in Machine Head, of course.
Right.
I can't keep up with him. He's a
busy guy.
He's a real busy guy. He's the definite go-to.
But you know what? Actually, think along that lines, it kind of Phil has a reputation to be a really nice guy, a good guy, right?
He is. He's one of the good guys. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think probably the same could be said of you. I watched a metric shit ton of interviews of you the last 2 days to kind of, because let me just back up a little bit and tell you where I became aware of you. And it goes back pretty far. We're both the same age. I think you're a half a year older than me. I'm 57. And I turned 58 in March. So we're kind of in that same age range.
When's your birthday?
We also have...
When's your birthday?
March 31st.
18th.
So you're almost a year older than me.
Yeah, same.
And what's really interesting is that you live in Texas. I think you've been a Texas boy all your life, right? Corpus?
I'm near Austin.
And you were born in Corpus, right?
Born in Corpus and about 17, I got to Austin. Yeah.
Okay. So I lived in Houston from 76 to 80. I moved down there with my stepdad and my mom in 76. And I kind of look at that period of my life with such a nostalgic fondness because I was the weirdo kid I was the Yankee coming down from Pennsylvania to Houston. What are you doing here, Yankee boy? And I was the long hair and the weirdo wearing the Journey shirt every third day in middle school. It was like, what's up with this kid, right? And I just remember that was where a lot of my formative listening kind of came to fruition. A lot of killer bands. I learned about Rush down there in 78 because there was a dude in middle school that wore the Hemisphere's Starman shirt. I'm like, I gotta know who that is. And as fate would have it, walking through Greenspoint Mall, I don't know if you've ever been to Houston or been there, but that was the big mall, right? And as fate would have it, it was right as Hemispheres had come out, and the album was like on a display in a Foley's department store. I'm like, Mom, what do I got to do to get you to buy that for me? So it's like weird. I think we have like a weird connection, because listening to your interviews, we have so many touchstones that are the same. Elton John, Alice Cooper, Rush, just that Kiss, was the big one, right? That all of us young guys kind of that 70s era, that's where we came of age, with that stuff, right? And it's in our blood, right?
Definitely. My first concert was Rush and UFO in 77. Wow. I have older brothers. Their record collections kind of shaped me. Interesting enough that none of my brothers' record collections had Kiss in it. It was neighborhood kids that got me into Kiss.
Okay.
It wasn't my immediate family, which I think is strange, because it's usually passed down. Kiss is usually passed down from someone closer to you. And
right.
I was just out with some neighborhood kids, and they go, "Have you heard this yet?" And they held up Kiss Alive, and I was
That's
like,
exactly what happened to me, dude. Yeah. Exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, I think that I just don't think my brothers gravitated to something that was so dramatic.
Right.
Even though they liked a lot of punk rock, and when punk rock was brand new, my oldest brother, brought home,
right.
It went from Beatles, Stones, Pistols, Ramones, and everything in between. Elvis Costello, the first B-52s. I mean, he was on the cutting edge of anything that was changing in music, and I appreciated that just as much as every inch of my wall needed to have a picture of Gene Simmons on it.
Yeah. So did you have the big? Did you have the big 5 foot? Do you remember the big 5 foot by?
Oh yeah,
they were 5x4s. The wall posters of bands. Yeah, I had the Rush one with Neil Peart right in the middle.
Yeah,
here in the middle with him doing the whole, the Hemispheres thing, and I had the Kiss, New York City, the World Trade Center, Kiss poster right next to the Farrah Fawcett red bathing suit poster, of course. So
yeah, we've become a cliche.
So, well, speaking of that, then, so you kind of intimated it there, but how about let's take you back a little bit to when you were a kid. What are your first cogent memories of the first time that you recognized music as kind of moving you? You know what I mean? It hits you and you're like, wow, that's something really special, and I need that in my life.
If I if I sort of, stun myself with my, really think about it hard, and I sort of snap my fingers, it turns into the, AM Gold, the radio, in the kitchen while, Mom and me and my younger brother are in there eating breakfast, and the radio's playing, and, my mom's not necessarily keeping up with the top 40, but she's got the radio on, and she's listening to whatever they're playing. And so it was everything. It was Alice Cooper and Elton John and Kiss and all of the, Bye Bye Miss American Pie and all of the great 70s singer-songwriters who were kind of rock, and it was just what was happening. Harry Nilsson songs and and Badfinger and Beatles and just whatever. And all that AM Gold, Captain and Tennille, whatever. It was all on there. And there was never a moment that I was not attracted to just the speaker. And then and my family noticed it. And, sure, my younger brother would get, 45 singles, for birthdays and for Christmas, but they just kind of got pushed aside. And I think that we shared a room the first younger years, where we both started getting into music, and all my brothers are into music, but it kind of it stung me hard And so, we were passing around, 45 side A, side B, and I had all the,
Stuff like this, right?
Yep. We had joy, we had fun. They were seasons in the sun, kind of,
Closer to the heart, 45,
yeah,
99 cents.
Yeah, so I had all of the number one song, not all of them, but that's what I was getting was popular, because it was easy for my parents and my older brothers to buy me gifts for birthday, Christmas. Shit, it was just to buy me a little record. And then I got into albums, like my older brother started buying me. I remember Mitch, my oldest brother, buying me News of the World by Queen right when it came out, and that was a game changer. But earlier than that, to kind of go back to your question, the babysitter across the street. I'm like 6, maybe 6 years old, and maybe younger, and the babysitter was playing Elton John Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, just the album, just flipping the records over and over and over, and I'm like, what is this? I just started talking to the babysitter about what she was listening to, and because most 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds don't give a fuck about music like I did.
Right.
I was attracted to it. And I was just like, what is going on here? And so I started asking for Elton John records just because the babysitter thought they were cool, and we all thought she was a cool, older lady. So we were, she wouldn't appreciate that now, I'm sure, but she was probably 15 or 16,
Yeah.
So the point is the point. The babysitter turned me on to Elton John, and I was completely hooked because I started, asking for buying Elton John records. And by 75, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy came out, and that record was like
killer album.
Blew my mind, because that one and Rock of the Westies are probably my favorite, and those came out the same year, and it's unbelievable. Philadelphia Freedom was from those sessions, and even though that I had that on 45, and that song didn't make Captain Fantastic, but it's on a reissue. Now, I didn't care what the lyrics were about. I was all about the tunes and how they made me feel inside, and that's still where I am today when I listen to music. If I'm attracted to it, it's usually not what the lyrics are saying. It could be, I'm so open-minded and liberal. I know some people will hate that, but that it doesn't matter. The song, if sing about what you're feeling at the moment. If you're in the moment and then you read back the lyrics and they don't make any sense, that's fine. I mean, half the Beatles, when they were all doped up, were writing shit, Strawberry Fields Forever. Sure, they start somewhere, but it's a trip. The song is a trip, and that's all it should be. So, that's kind of my earliest memory. And then, once I was old enough to sort of like figure out that all I wanted to do was listen to Kiss and play loud, and I got a bass guitar. My mom and my oldest brother chipped in and got me a pawn shop bass guitar.
How old were you when that happened?
Probably 12.
Okay.
And I just started, I didn't know how to tune it or anything, and I didn't have an amp.
Right.
I was just banging on it, flipping the record, bouncing the needle around, trying to figure out how to find a groove and stay, that string sounds like what they're using, and then eventually things started to click. And joined my first band at age 15, I believe. So just as a bass player. I didn't start singing until I got to Austin, until I was about 17.
Hey, Jason, real quick, I just want to interject a sec. I'm getting a lot of lag for you, like severe. I was wondering if I thought I'd let it go a little bit to see if it cleared. Do you want to bounce out and come back in and see if that clears it? Because sometimes you can get in a weird cell with StreamYard and it'll kind of. You want to try that?
Yeah, whatever you think. I'm on Ether. I'm on
just su-
Ethernet, so
yeah,
so
it just sucks
I'm
because
good.
you're talking and your face is like,
Yeah,
and then it'll suddenly move. So it's
yeah,
kind of
I
like you're,
know. Yeah, I know all about that. But I'm on Ethernet, so
huh?
I'm plugged right into the modem, so
That's
to the
weird.
router. Yeah,
Wonder why. Wonder why. I don't think it's on my end.
I can
Well,
leave and
we'll,
come
we'll
back.
ride with it a little bit and see.
I can leave and come back.
Yeah, give it one shot. Just bounce out. I'll bounce you out real quick and then just come back. We'll see if that clears it. If not, we'll just roll with it and kind
Okay,
of.
I'm going to leave and rejoin the same link. Okay.
Okay. Yep. Do that, but go all the way out. Like, yep. Sorry about that, guys. Just a little bit of a bad lag there. I want to see if we can clear that up. That's live. This is live. You know, that's how it goes. Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, there you go.
Yo.
All right. That looks a little bit better.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's better. Yep. All right. Sometimes StreamYard's weird. You can kind of come in and leave, and then it lags and kind of hangs. So you're 12, you said, and you've got your first bass, and you're meandering around, dropping the needle and trying to figure out, develop an ear, and you're not singing as yet. Did you do the? I'm sure you did it. I think I know the answer. Did you do the whole get in front of the mirror and pretend you're Gene Simmons thing?
Oh, big time. Yeah.
I was always Paul Stanley, not Ace. I was always Paul. I had a Stella acoustic.
I put on. I would put on my mom's clothes. Just find whatever was black.
Like a scarf or something like that, like a long scarf?
No, not so much a scarf. I was looking for, leotards and tight pants and, go boots and
nice.
tight blouses with a V-neck, or like Paul and Gene would wear. Yeah. And then I was like, well, can I spray paint my football pads, my shoulder pads black and put spikes on it?
Yeah.
I was looking to do stuff like that.
For the Love Gun era stuff, right?
Or just whatever,
Yeah.
I was just I just really wanted to be Gene Simmons.
Well, you said that
I still want to be Gene Simmons.
You still want to be Gene?
I still kind of want to be Gene Simmons. Yeah.
Gene's still kind of pretty cool. Gene's all right. He's kind of mellowed a little bit in his older age. He's an interesting cat. I will say, and I don't know if you're the same. I think you and I might have a divergence here a little bit. You said the Neighborhood Boys got you into Kiss Alive, and that's exactly how it happened to me. I was out riding bikes one day, and the one kid drives up with his bike, and he's got Kiss Alive. He's like, dudes, he probably didn't say dude. He's like, yo, guys, did you hear this yet? And I'm like, what is that? And right away, it was instant. The minute I put it on, it was like, we're just sitting around. I'm like, what is this? It was like the most amazing discovery. And I had actually had older neighbor boys that lived right next door. I was like, I guess in 75, that came out late 75, right? I think it was late 75, early 76. I ended up getting that album in early 76, but my neighbors were actually older kids. Like there was 5 boys, and they would play pool in their garage and let kind of the little snot-nosed kid me kind of hang out. And are you frozen? Yeah, you're completely frozen. What the heck is going on here, man? Jason, you there? I'm not even hearing you, dude. Wow, what in the hell is going on? Lost you again. What the fuck? Well, this is not going well. I haven't had anything happen like this before. I wonder whether he's in a bad cell or... Huh. Let's see what happens here in a minute, guys. There he is. He just froze up.
Yeah, you went away. So I just left and came back.
Well, you were frozen on my end. I'm wondering if it's on my end. That's
you
weird.
you were gone. Anything... You went black. So
I went black.
Yeah.
This is very bizarre because I've never ever had a bad connection.
Let's just keep going.
All right, we'll wind through it. Anyways, I was saying the neighborhood boys brought the Kiss record up. We're kind of, we're jamming it, and my mind is kind of blown. And that was before I moved down to Texas. So I take that down to Texas, and my first purchase is Rock and Roll Over, which I believe is 76, right? Yeah.
So Destroyer is also 76, but
that's right.
That's okay. They used to make 2 records every year. Every 6 months, man, they wanted another record.
But now you mentioned that Rush was your first show. Kiss was mine.
Mm-hmm.
I had tickets to see them on the Love Gun tour in 77. I lipped my mom. She tore the ticket up, taped it together, and gave it to the next door neighbor girl. So she went instead of me going with the 2 older girls that I was like going to be Mr. Cool with. I was like 12, I was 13. Those girls were like 16. They could drive. I was like, man, I'm the dude. And I didn't get to go. So I didn't get to actually go see my first show until 79 on Dynasty. But that's kind of where I stopped, Jason. I pretty much don't own anything after that, even though there's a couple good albums like Creatures and Asylum's okay. There's a couple decent things in there. But have you kept your fandom with Kiss the whole way through?
I've kept my fandom. I would say yes. I have a small shrine. I'm looking over across the room. There's like a third of a giant wall that's all Kiss bullshit.
Nice.
Landfill shit that'll end up in the landfill. The answer to your question is pretty much the same as yours. It's spotted. It's super spotted down the line, because there's some stuff that's on. When I find, like, when I listen to a Kiss record, and I'm hearing, that one's not talking to me. Oh, I love that one. Like, I think Unmasked is kind of spotted. Lick It Up, 2 or 3 songs that are undeniable.
Lick It Up. Yeah, forgot about that one. That's a great one.
Yeah, and then it's real spotted. I can't even think of the names of the records, because, like I said, I know that there's only 2, 4 songs tops that seem tolerable to me. Maybe I'll go down a rabbit hole one day and just kind of weather through it all and see if my heart feels the same way about it.
It's that classic 70s period.
Yeah, there's a song called It's a Paul Stanley Song, and Kiss fans know what I mean when I say it's a Paul Stanley song. It doesn't matter who wrote it. I don't even think Paul wrote it. I think somebody else wrote it. It's called Is That You? You know that song?
Was that on a solo album? That's a Kiss song?
No, it's a Kiss song.
Okay, no, I don't remember that
Kiss
one.
Song that they didn't write. I think Paul is co-writer on it, but
like Desmond Child or something like that.
No, it wasn't Desmond. It was someone I can't think of right now. Anyway, Is That You? And I just can't think of the record that it's on right now. But it's it's late 80s or something.
I'll find out right here.
Mid 80s, yeah.
It is on Unmasked.
Yeah, Unmasked. So, like I said, Unmasked.
Which I've never even heard.
There's a few gems. There's a few gems on that record that are really fucking cool. And they sound like Kiss. It has to be this thing that sounds like Kiss. If they, when Kiss started to write songs with the guys that wrote songs with Bon Jovi and shit, I'm going, wait a second. It's kind of like the same with Aerosmith when they started writing songs with. Even though I can tell it's Kiss and I can tell it's Aerosmith, it feels like it's like, hold on a second. Who wrote this fucking song? Because I can tell.
Yep, you can.
I'll go and look it up, and I'm like, oh, that's outside writer. They're trying to straddle the line too much.
Yep, they want to get into that pop realm. Blue Oyster Cult did it with Bob Halligan Jr. and Desmond Child, I think, was involved a little bit there too for Club Ninja, which is the stinker album of their career. Aldo Nova, which I love Aldo Nova, but that album Revolution by Night's kind of a half and half too. So I was curious about that. Well, look, let's get into your history a little bit. And I hate to do this to you because you've done this a million times, but give me where I came into you was the first Dangerous Toys album. I knew about Watchtower, but I didn't really discover Watchtower until after Control and Resistance came out. So we're probably talking like late 90s, maybe early 2000s, which is weird because I'm a prog metal nerd. Fate's Warning, Fifth Angel, Queensryche, all that stuff like that. I love that, but I missed Watchtower strangely. But maybe that's not surprising because it was the album that you did, Energetic Disassembly. Then the band didn't do anything for 4 years. It kind of, you leave, Billy leaves, Jarzambek comes in. So there's all that history there. And it was just, you guys kind of are thought of as originators, but yet you really didn't get to ride on the coattails of that wave, right? For the most part. So tell me about the thumbnail history of that, because you've done it so many times.
To give a timeline, I moved to Austin in like 80. I was 16 or 17 or something like that. And that part of it's not that important. And I was, by 81, it might have been summer of 81, or like 80 and 81, I had a band, a band that I formed with friends that I had recently met in Austin when I moved here. And we were just playing covers, and we came to a fork in the road where we needed to find a guitar player. And I started looking around. And Austin at the time was not very metal at all. There was a bunch of hard rock, there was a bunch of blues, and there was a bunch of twangy stuff and acoustic singer-songwriter stuff. There was a lot of rock and blues, and like Janis Joplin spent a lot of time here. Texas is killer. There's any kind of thing you want, anything you can get it in Texas,
right?
Especially music, and it's multicultural, but metal, it wasn't really on the lips of anyone there was no tastemaker for metal or anything of extreme, as you could say. So, looking for a guitar player, I'm in a music store. I see this hand-drawn, like business card looking, postcard looking thing. It said Watchtower. It had a tower and a dragon, and it was hand-drawn, and which I thought was really cool because it looked like the cover of something out on Metal Blade, and it said available for parties. Obviously these guys were kids and they were young and they couldn't play in a bar, or they didn't have any clout to play a venue. They were obviously just young, right? And it had. I remember when you could do this, you had your mom's phone number on.
Yeah.
On your ad, you had your fucking mom's phone number.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy. Now you don't want to do that,
Prank calls. Yeah, hell no.
So anyway, you piss off mom, you're out, So anyway, and they bless their hearts. Thank you for doing that, because how you going to learn shit? Kick your ass, And so anyway, I call it, in daylight. I didn't call in the middle of the night.
Oh, right.
Well,
right.
Hey, is Billy there? Because it was Billy's name, the number I dialed. And it was, Mr. White. Dad had answered, I believe, and they went and got him, and they put him on the phone. And I go, look, you don't know me, and my name's Jason, and I've got this band, and we're looking for a guitar player. I'm not trying to headhunt you or steal you. I just don't know anybody else.
Right.
You know any guitar players? The first words out of his mouth was, "We've heard of you."
Wow.
The band I was in was a shitty cover band that was we were just having fun. We were young and dumb and in high school, sure. And it doesn't matter. None of this matters. We're just having fun playing AC/DC and Rush and Judas Priest songs, And he goes, yeah, we've heard of you. And, some friends of ours saw you guys at a party or blah, blah, blah. And I was a bass playing singer by this point, because the deal was that the band I had, me and my buddy Mike, the drummer, we were inviting our school buddies over. Hey, you want to come try out for our band? We need a singer. And, we don't want to sing. We were afraid of the fucking microphone.
Sure.
And because it's daunting, and he's, if we had friends come over, and eventually we just go, man, these guys are just not what it's not what our hearts and minds are expecting. Sure, we're getting the gas out of our friends coming over and singing songs terribly, but
Yeah, right.
eventually we just looked at each other and said, fuck it, we're as good as, or maybe this much tiny bit better than they are, and we're not singers, and we're not calling ourselves singers.
Right.
The funny thing is me and Mike, the drummer, my buddy, would drive around in my car with a boombox in the front seat, just screaming and singing and rocking in the fucking Beavis and Butthead and Wayne's World shit. That shit is real. We were doing and we would just be singing at the top of our lungs, and totally can relate to that. So we knew how good or terrible we were already because we're just blasting each other's face off with vocals and singing Judas Priest, and so we just started singing. Well, 6 months after that, and the band only lasted about maybe 6 or 7 months anyway, until this phone call to Billy White.
Right.
I got invited over to Billy's house. He said, bring your bass, come on over and just hang out. I was like, wow, cool. So I go over, I meet a new ally, and I said, tell me about your band. At first we went into his room and he had Iron Maiden and, Rush posters everywhere. And I was like,
a brother, a kindred spirit.
Yeah, this is real. UFO, he had all the cool shit. And he's like 16.
He was
I
younger.
was like 17. He was he's like a year younger, maybe.
Right.
And he just picks up his guitar and starts fucking shredding. Just this was 1982.
Yeah.
This is like spring of 1982. Like April. Okay. So I just put my bass back in the case. I said, I'm going to put this back in my car. You don't want to hear me play bass after I just heard you decapitate me with Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen solos.
Right.
I hate you, love you right now, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so we got on great, and then we ended up driving over to that night, I think, over to his bass player, Doug Keyser, the infamous Douglas Keyser. And we hung out with Doug all night. We drove down to UT campus and cranked up the radio and played air guitar on the steps of the college and the library and blah blah. We just tore it up. It was Beavis and Butthead. It was awesome.
Yeah.
The next day Billy calls. He goes, hey, we're rehearsing. We wanted you to come over and just hang out and check out our rehearsal. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. So I went over there. And we're sitting there and they're playing, they're just jamming, and my jaw is on the floor because they're playing the original material. And I'm like, oh my God, holy shit. And their singer's not there yet. His name was Travis, and he wasn't there yet. He didn't show up. So long story short, they ended up going, and there was a list of songs, cover songs, whatever, their songs, other people's songs on the wall right next to my fucking head.
Right.
And they were doing Saxon and Queensryche and Iron Maiden. They were doing all the cool shit.
Nice.
And they were like, yeah, he's not going to show up. Just in his microphones, his gear is right in front of us, Might as well sing something. So I did. I was like, all right, this is going to be fun. So the first song that I sang with Watchtower was Motorcycle Man by Saxon.
Yeah.
And a week later, Billy called me, goes, hey, we just kicked out our singer. We want you to be our singer. So a week after I met those guys, I was in their band.
Wow.
And I had to call my buddy Mike. I just felt like I was asking a father for his daughter's hand in marriage by calling Mike, but I felt like it was the right thing to do. Hey, dude, these guys are killer and they're brand new and we don't really know them yet, but I heard them rehearse and my mind is blown, and I think I'm going to stop playing bass for a while and just be a front man. Mm-hmm. And he was like, fucking go for it. We don't have anything going on. Fucking do it. And then on a sidebar, it wasn't very long after that, there was another thrash band forming called Militia, and they needed a singer, and they were trying to headhunt me from Watchtower.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, and this would have been like a year and a half later, and I was like, I have a singer for you. I'm not going to quit a band I've only been in for a year and a half to be in your brand new band, even though your band rules, because I went and heard them practice too, and it was thrash. It was like
Thrash. Okay, right. Yeah, I remember that.
Anthrax,
name,
Slayer kind of shit, but more like old school, underground kind of shit. And I was like, I got the guy, and I introduced him to Mike Solis, and he got the gig, and
nice.
he fell in with those anyway. So everything worked out really well for both of us. Back to Watchtower, yeah, I mean, they were creating this, we were just high school kids, but hands-on, I helped, was in the room, was the conduit, was the voice of Watchtower, and helped create, co-founder, if you will, this style of music that we were oblivious to. Well, where's the world going to place this? Because now everybody has to put everything in a fucking box.
Right, of course.
We were oblivious to worrying about that. We were just trying to write crazy songs that we wanted to get, that were fucking rowdy and weird.
Right.
And it's just because of the influences that the band had, which were crossovers between, prog rock, Rush, obviously, early Queensryche, and then we liked the weird Iron Maiden songs, and way too long, 9-minute songs or whatever. We liked all that,
like Murders in the Rue Morgue and Phantom of the Opera, and shit
mixed
like that.
with 2112, with 2112, and lots of sporadic, weird, fast, herky jerky, stop start riffing and shit. And then, we started noticing bands like Merciful Fate, and then, the first Megadeth. And of course we were already into Raven and Metallica and things like that. But those bands were almost like this sort of Hesher thrashy thing. We were kind of thrashy, but not that we were highbrow comparatively, but we noticed it was something different. And bands that sort of we noticed also that were actually closer to what it was we were doing were some of the bands that started out to be kind of death metal bands, like Voivod, that ended up being this kind of proggy, weird, Pink Floyd on acid type of thrashy shit.
Yep.
And we had a little bit of that element, creating your own audience, but still everyone's wearing, Motorhead shirts.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that sort of began. And that, like I said, spring of 82 until we made the record in 85. It came out in January of 86, technically, on our own label. We had been sending demos out for the tape trading scene and the fanzine world. And I just had Brian Slagle from Metal Blade on my Talk Louder podcast.
Yep, I didn't listen to it yet. I got to check that out. Yeah,
we were always referring back to fanzines and tape trading, and
did you ever have any discussions with Brian? Because you would have seemed like the perfect mixture. Like you said, there's a Voivodian thing, there's a Rush thing, there's a Slayer thing going on there. There's just this amalgam of, honestly, that first Watchtower is an amalgam of weirdness. There's so many colliding sort of things going on that it's very unique and unto itself. You got a little bit of Queensryche in there. Your vocals obviously are extremely operatic, but not in an operatic way. They're more in
Mickey
a screaming, sort of frenzied sort of way. Yeah,
Mickey Mouse on speed. Yeah,
but did Brian ever voice any interest, or
interesting? Then he divulged on his. We also had DJ William Howell, who was actually A&R from Metal Blade in the 80s, and he was a huge fan. And Brian divulged his memory because he was a big tape trader with Ron Quintana out of the Bay Area, and other Lars Ulrich, and they were buddies, and there was this group of people that on the West Coast, that just like on the East Coast, that were just
sharing
furiously had a network, and they were writing and even flying over to Europe to meet tape trading friends and shit. And it was this whole fucking network, and this is pre-internet, this was $100 landline phone calls and
Yeah.
licking stamps and shit. So it's amazing to talk about. But Brian says, and I quote, Watchtower was one of the most popular underground demos in tape trading, before we had Wax out.
Right.
This was a 4-song demo. It was coveted. If you had that, you had something special. And if you got a copy from the band, it was like, holy shit, I got to get, so anyway, that's kind of how that got started. So from May of 82 until like, God, spring of 82 till like spring of 88, I was in Watchtower officially, and then officially had to bow out in early 88 to go make a record with Dangerous Toys.
Well, before we jump into that, a question about that after the first album comes out, did you guys do any kind of extensive national touring, or was it all regional? Or
no, the record came out the record came out, like I said, in late 85, early 86.
Mhm.
By the end of 86, Billy had decided to leave the band, and we played Ron Quintana. It's funny that I just mentioned him. He set up a couple shows in San Francisco. We tried to get a couple shows in Los Angeles, but it was a financial bust. It was complete, like we had no business doing it. But we all kind of put our lunch money together and just fucking crawled into a van. And my buddy Walter Treschler, who played guitar in Rotting Corpse out of Dallas, Fort Worth area, he's the only guy I knew with a van. If he wouldn't have said yes, I don't know what we would have done, because we could not afford a rental van.
Yeah, right.
And we were kids, and I think we were 20, 21. We were all, couldn't even get into a bar for the most part. And we crawled in this van. I think a couple of us, like Rick and our manager at the time, they flew out there, and they had jobs and money. And we were all loser kids.
Right.
So we went out there and did that, and those were Billy's final shows. We crawled back to Texas. There's a whole other thing that's happening with me in California, but that's not really.
Let me ask you this real quick. With regards to Billy, was this something that you'd seen coming on? Was it sudden? Was it, what are you doing, dude? Like, why now?
I had seen Billy's mind grow and change into. I didn't think he I didn't want to believe that it was something that could lead to his departure. I think that it was more, wow, he's growing as a player. He's like better. He's playing better now than he ever has. Maybe he's growing up a little bit, and he's calming down. In retrospect, I can think this.
Right.
So, to answer to your question, didn't really see it coming, but over the years, just over those short few, 83, 84, 85, I had seen like this monster becoming. And he's the best guitar player anyone, hands down.
Yeah, and he got wooed out to LA and did the Up From the Ashes album, which is a killer album with him and John Norum, man. I mean,
he slept on my couch for a couple nights. I was out there making the Toys record.
So you went out then. Okay.
That would have been just a few months. That would have been just a few months after
you split up.
No. I was going to say it would have been just a few months after I had quit to join Dangerous Toys full time, and to add this and help Watchtower get another singer by one Alan Tecchio. And my buddy Mike, I keep talking about, who was my drummer in my other band, he sang in Watchtower for a hot minute.
Oh, really?
Actually recorded one song. Ironically, he recorded the song "Dangerous Toy" which is on Control and Resistance with Alan singing. But there's a version of that song with Mike singing that's on a noise record compilation record called Doomsday 2 or something like that. It's out of print now, but so he was in the band for a hot minute. Anyway, so it's funny. Here's another kind of weirdness: is in '86, Billy left in October of '86. We played October 6 and 7 in San Francisco at the Mabuhay Gardens and the on
Right.
Broadway,
Okay.
and which are like in the same building, which was kind
Right.
of funny and weird. But anyway,
How were those shows? Do you remember? Like, do you have memories of those shows? How were they attended? As far as, because that's
they
a
were it was
hotbed of
loose.
thrash, right?
It was just a bunch of different kinds of metal bands and rock bands. It wasn't a festival. It was just like 4 or 5 bands on the bill both nights, and
Right.
I think we played last on the first night, and we didn't care. We were kids and excited to
Just-
be there and going
Yeah.
on no sleep and eating, beef jerky and drinking Big Red. We didn't give a shit about anything.
Right.
And Paul Bailoff from Exodus was there, and he may have helped promote the show, but it was just kind of like a bunch of kids looking for a party. It wasn't well attended. There, Alex Skolnick from Testament was there. Me and Doug went over to the radio station, Ron Quintana again, and we're on his KUSF college radio station where he played metal all night long until like 4 a.m. or some shit.
Right,
We
right.
went over there, and me and Doug, I think the interview is online. God, we just sound like midgets or something. It's crazy. We sound like tiny little
Kids.
babies talking,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we didn't know what we were doing. We were stupid as hell. But Alex came over there too. Alex was super nice to us, and
Oh, nice.
of course, Testament was called Legacy at the time.
Legacy. Right. Right.
And that's how long ago this shit. This is like the scene in San Francisco.
Very early beginnings of it all. Yeah.
Well, it was kind of off the fucking hook, because when you think about 83, 84, 85, 86, those are the primal years of that
Yep.
Bay Area.
You got No Life Till Leather. You got the Exodus album being
Dude, it just
crazy
keeps,
times, right?
yeah. So we were just excited to see if any familiar faces that we had seen from fanzines and shit, especially me. And anyway, also that would have been October. September is when Cliff died.
Yeah.
Who was from that area.
Yep.
So it was a little weird. Was also, that was October. It's like, okay, well, Cliff had passed away only weeks before that. 2 weeks?
Yeah.
2
Heavy
fucking
shit
weeks.
throughout the community.
So it was weird anyway,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I had gotten, Watchtowers out there playing, and I had set up an audition through whatever connections I had, as well as others that I made while I was out there. Set up well, it wasn't hard, because people were giving me phone numbers to dudes in Metallica's house.
Right. Right.
I got Doug an audition for Metallica, and he was in the top 5. And of course,
Really?
Jason Newsted got the gig. Of course,
Yeah.
everyone knows that. So,
Watson,
but
right?
it was actually Jason Newsted that told me to my face, because I met Jason in Los Angeles, because after those San Francisco Watchtower shows, I had flown down before I had crawled back to Texas. I had flown down to had some friends put money together, and I went down to Los Angeles, and I lived on Gene Hoglan's couch for 2 weeks.
No shit.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we talk about that, or I need to correct that. I talk about that all the time, because I was just like so young and crazy and fun, and it was just such a blast. And
Was Dark Angel? Was he in Dark Angel?
Yes.
Time? Was that go?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And we just had such a good time, and I got to go to like Dark Angel rehearsals and shit.
Oh,
I got
nice.
to sound check on bass with Dark Angel. Oh man, it was just like kid in a candy store. Anyway, I had flown down to Los Angeles, and there was so much going on, but I remember I was calling from Gene's house to Kirk Hammett's house, back to Doug's house in Texas, just in order to line up these, where
Facilitate
Doug
this
needs
thing,
to go.
yeah.
And like, Doug, here's Kirk's number, call Kirk, and Kirk will tell you where to go. And you have to pay for your own plane fare, but of course he wanted to do it. So I had gone, it was like a few days after Doug had auditioned, and Flotsam and Jetsam is playing the country club with Megadeth.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm there in Reseda, California.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, Jason, dude, what's up? And he's like, oh, man. He was running around. He was crazy. He was busy as fuck because he's about to play a show. And I'm like, dude,
Right.
he's like, oh, it's awesome to meet you face to face. And I said, dude, have you heard any news? You know, because I was like freaking out. Like Doug joining Metallica would have been like, what? You know,
let me just ask one quick question about that, because so Billy's leaving the band.
Billy's leaving.
You know, he's done after those shows.
Yep.
You're now facilitating Doug to potentially get an option to get into Metallica.
Let me pause you. Don't forget that thought. I'm going to interrupt you with another mind-blowing aspect here.
Okay.
When we played the Mabuhay Gardens in San Francisco a week prior or whatever, Marty Friedman, I had been trying to headhunt Marty Friedman to join Watchtower.
From Hawaii? Was he still in Hawaii?
I think he was living in the Bay Area.
But his band was Hawaii, right? Didn't he have that band Hawaii?
Yeah. This is pre Megadeth.
This is
before he was in Megadeth. So
you're trying to bring Marty in, but
this is early because Billy's leaving and we need a guitar player.
Right.
I had already called Ron Jarzambek and he was like, oh man, I can't, because him and Billy were friends. I can't join my friends. I can't do that. That's weird. I'm going, no, Billy says it's cool. Call him and talk to him. You'll see. And eventually he did. And
Ron's in Slayer SA, right?
They were already broken up.
Oh, they had broken up. Okay.
Yeah,
but I guess my question is, are you at this point, by cattle shooting Doug towards Metallica, are you kind of saying, well, the band isn't going to be the band anymore?
Well, we were stunned. It's like, how do you replace Billy White? Because we were all believers and Billy believers. And so how are we going to play this kind of crazy ass music that Billy helped create it, right? It's from his brain. Him and Doug wrote this shit, crazy ass shit.
Right.
What are we going to do? Kind of. So things were in limbo big time. So it was perfect timing to keep our options open as young, stupid 20-year-olds. Right. So, sidebar, and this is all water under the bridge and totally a funny thing now, but people might want to chew on this for a second. The Marty Friedman thing. It's like, I hadn't even spoken with Marty. I'd been talking to, oh God, what's his name? The guy from Shrapnel Records.
Mike Varney.
I had Mike Varney, was a pen pal. I had called him on the phone a bunch of times, just trying to figure out a way to put out get distribution for the Watchtower record. So I was calling anyone and everyone.
Right.
And so I had befriended Mike Varney, and I was like, hey, when Billy's leaving, he's like, what? How are you going to do that? I go, you know anybody? Marty Friedman's in between things. Oh shit, send him down to the gig. We want to meet him. Here's the bomb I'm about to drop.
All right.
Thank you, good night. I'm running around the club looking for Marty. What'd you think? That's in my mind, the video I want to play in my mind. Marty, what'd you think? And I can't find him anywhere. And so I walk up to Rick and Doug, expecting them to go, did you talk to Marty? Did you talk to Marty? Is he in? Did he dig it? Is he going to call us? Blah, 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 blah.
He had a demo, or he had
no. Hey, Mike Varney, send Marty Friedman to our gig and tell him to come up and talk to me.
Watch you guys live. Okay, gotcha. Right.
So we play the gig. It's thank you, good night. I'm running around the club looking for Marty. Can't find him anywhere. I approach Rick and Doug. Hey, have you seen Marty anywhere? They were like, yep. And I was like, so you can find him, but I can't find him. What's going on here? And Rick and Doug, they look at each other and they tell me, yeah, he tried to headhunt us.
Oh. He wanted those two guys.
Yeah, he didn't like my vocals.
Oh, wow.
I mean, really? I took it at that. I mean, dude, here's the deal. I mean, I didn't like my vocals. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like I'm just up there creating this crazy havoc with these guys I met in high school, So little did we know that people were going to dig this crazy shit. We weren't, like I said, we were oblivious to trying to find a way through the world. We were just creating something fun for ourselves.
Right. Right.
and whoever dug it, and
You were in your own trip.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's a thing. So Jason Newsted at the country club, he's about to go on. I'm like, dude, Doug. And he's like, yeah, I know. I hear really good things. And you didn't hear this from me. Doug's in the top 5.
Wow.
He didn't make it.
Yeah.
Obviously he didn't make it.
Yeah.
And there were things said later on, like, yeah, he just wasn't metal enough. And Doug's not really metal.
Doug's not really kind of like,
he's a bass wizard.
He is. He's like the Geddy Lee of metal.
He's closer to a Les Claypool than he is a Cliff Burton. If that's, you got to be metal at that time. You got to be metal. Anyway, that was that. So a very interesting time.
Here's a funny comment, Jason. You'll appreciate this. My buddy Phil says, Marty's got to play with a real singer like Dave. All right. Phil dropped the bomb. We don't have to say anything beyond that.
Like Dave Mustaine. Oh, I
think he's talking about Dave Mustaine.
Dave Mustaine.
Yeah.
I actually I love the comment. That's funny as hell. I actually came to sort of like Mustaine's voice, even though it's very nasal and kind of sounds like Beavis,
I've never been a huge fan. They're kind of my least favorite of the big four. That's
okay.
That's my thing.
I love Megadeth, and I really think that they're important. And there would be no Metallica without Dave, and there would be even worse, there would be no Megadeth if he wouldn't have been booted out of Metallica.
Oh, sure, absolutely, man.
It needed to fucking happen, and it also needed to happen that Dave sing, because in early days of Metallica, Dave was more of like the front man than James was.
Yeah, he was. He was the lead. He was like the leader up on the.
He had a lot. He had a lot of that. So, two cooks in the kitchen wouldn't have worked in the long run anyway. But anyway, the Dave. We're
going to address that, by the way. Somebody's asking about Howling Sycamore, and
that's it.
I'm going to bring that up because I found this in my albums. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize I even had this. So there's a story behind that, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah. So go ahead. Anyway, I just wanted to say, to give some cred to Dave Mustaine for just powering through and doing the best he can and he fucking conquered. He might be offbeat a little bit, it might be, in the head. I don't know Dave. I've met Dave, 30 times, but I don't know him, but I'll tell you this, I think he's a mad fucking genius.
Oh, he's a fucking scary riff writer, man.
To be able to make his voice work for the sound of the band is important. It's like, what the fuck is David Lee Roth doing? Well, it worked for Van Halen.
Exactly.
It worked. But he's a mad genius too. He's like vaudeville kind of jokester and Satan's cheerleader, scatting and jazzing over metal riffs.
But Jason, it's kind of like, and I think you'll agree with this. We all have subjective music tastes, right? And like I remember when I got into Rush, and Rush is my drop dead number one favorite band of all time. Nobody surpasses the Canadian Holy Trilogy for me. Seen them 56 times. That's the only band I've ever done that kind of craziness with.
Are you in Canada?
What's that?
Are you in Canada?
No, I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
About an hour northwest of Philly. I'm in heart of the Amish country, Lancaster.
Oh, really? I'm going to be there the end of this month.
What? Where at?
At Selinsgrove.
Selinsgrove. Yeah. That's is that near? That's near Palmyra, I think, right?
I don't know.
I'd have to look. Where? Yeah, you're playing
Dirty Looks.
With Dirty Looks. Okay, yeah.
At Susquehanna, massive plug here at the Susquehanna Valley Event Center.
Okay, man. If I can get out, I'll try to get out and catch you guys. I got to remember exactly where that's at. I've been there, but it's been a lot of years. I'd have to look it up. I think it's about an hour northwest of me. But
okay.
But yeah, so
if the weather's good, I'll and you want to come, let me know for sure, and I'll take care of you.
Cool, man. Cool. So you pulled Jarzan back. Oh, I was gonna say about the vocal thing though. we all have sort of our tastes, right? And certain things hit us. You know, for me, Jeff Buckley, Chris Cornell, Lane Staley, those guys, you know, they're the upper echelon. But I love Geddy Lee. I wouldn't put him in that category as a vocalist overall, but I think he's amazing. Like for me, Geddy Lee is like the be all end all, right?
I have a theory if you would like to hear it. My theory is like, okay, so you don't, let's say you don't like Rush.
Right.
And I walk in and I say, so you don't like Rush. Okay, let me guess, it's the vocals, right? Yeah, how did you know? You know, and they interrupt me and go, yeah, the fucking music is incredible. Musicianship is out of control. They can write songs like a motherfucker. As soon as that, you know, nasally, screechy rat starts singing, I fucking hate it. And I'm like, okay, let's play a game. So you like the music? Oh yeah, the music is great. Okay, all right. Well, let's omit Geddy's voice and let's put your favorite singer in Rush. Who's it going to be? What are you going to who are you going to put in there? And they get stumped. They have no idea how to conceive that in their brain. And it's like, well, that's the game you're playing with the band. That's the game we're playing. It's a fantastical game. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid.
Right.
But I mean, if you like, you know, it's like if you like Van Halen, Roth, you know, Roth Van Halen,
which I do,
and then you have Sammy Hagar, you know, it's like, well, I just don't like Van Hagar very much. Okay, well, if you have Van Halen and you can't have David Lee Roth, same game. Who are you going to put in there?
Yeah,
Sammy did a great fucking job. He did a great
job. I don't love that music as much as I love the other stuff because I grew up in the 70s with it.
Right.
But Sammy's 9 million times the singer Dave is. Dave just had that panache, you know, he had that thing, right?
Right. Right. Well, it's if you think about this here, this creates a total kerfuckle. But okay, Bon Scott, AC/DC. You love Bon Scott, AC/DC. You love it. Okay, well, Bon's gone. Who else are you going to put in there? Oh, Steve Perry. No.
Could you imagine that?
Well, it would probably be pretty good, but it would be a different band. It would be a different band. It would you know, Steve Perry doesn't sing about, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I feel like
about love.
I feel like Sammy Hagar didn't really sing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Not really, no.
When he was in Montrose, he did because he was 22 years old. Or
little bit, yeah.
So when you think about David Lee Roth, he's talking about porno, and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
Sammy Hagar was not. Yeah, Sammy Hagar was not running with the devil.
No. And I saw him twice with Sammy for the 5150. I did not. It's weird. I somehow missed Van Halen. Like right in '84, that was my senior year in high school. So it's kind of like I missed that. And when I saw them on the 5150 and then the 08, well, I saw the Monsters of Rock tour. Do you remember that? It was
that's cool.
Kingdom Come, and Metallica was second on the bill. They hadn't put out And Justice yet, but they were kind of blowing up.
I think Dokken, Van Halen,
Dokken was third for and they were splitting apart at that point because you know, Don was they were coaxing Don to take the name and be the man. And then you had the Scorpions, which frankly for me was the best band of the day. I mean, I liked Van Halen, but I drank a lot of Jack that day, and I don't remember much after the Scorpions. So it's one of those kind of days. Yeah. But well, so let me get you back on. So you bring George Zombek in, but then you're kind of already, are you sliding out at that point, or are you just half in, half out?
Well, there was a band or two in the Bay Area that was trying to headhunt me. It was courting me. So I kind of went back and forth between the Bay Area and Los Angeles for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was being bounced around a little bit. I had gone and jammed with at some point, it might have been like a year later, I had gone out. This would have been pre-Dangerous Toys still, but I think I flew out. I ended up back in Austin, of course, but
Right.
I was California dreaming there for a minute, the end of '86.
Were you on your own by this time, or you still going back to mom's house, or?
No, I was pretty much sofa surfing, and
gotcha.
I had very little money.
Right.
But that didn't bother me, and it didn't bother anybody else. I was being courted by some people who were, like in the Bay Area. Like
Mm-hmm.
I went to a Mordred rehearsal, if you remember.
Oh yeah, Mordred. Yep.
Yeah, hung out with those guys for a day. And they were super guys. I went to a rehearsal. I didn't know the material. I didn't sing anything. I didn't really audition, but
Just kind of hung out, see what the deal
being
was.
courted. Yeah, just vibing with them, and nothing really clicked. And I got back on a plane, and there was a band at some point that same year they were on Metal Blade, called Bloodlust.
Oh yeah.
John Bush had hooked me up with, and I went and sang some Judas Priest with, and somewhere in Los Angeles, LA County somewhere, and nothing really clicked. Super guys, great band. So there was a few things, and there was people obviously I was in touch with, the
Right.
Metallica guys, the Armored Saint guys, and Gene Hoglan, who was just an angel, and his parents were great. His sister was great, and
Right.
Michelle Meldrum,
From
rest her soul.
yeah, she was married to Norm, right?
Yeah, later on she was married to John and had a kid, Jake, who's probably 20 years old now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michelle is how Gene heard of Watchtower in the beginning. So anyway, yeah, to move along, it's '86, and there's all this, Doug and the Metallica thing, and Newstead, and the me talking to everybody I just name dropped, and I'm going between the Bay Area and Los Angeles for over a couple of weeks. Going, what am I gonna do? I'm trying to get everyone a gig, but as well as myself.
Right.
But still in the back of my head, thinking maybe Ron will do this. Well, by January, Ron's in the band.
Okay.
So I'm back on track. It was around that time that Pantera called me and asked me if I wanted to audition for Pantera. And
That's
I declined.
crazy.
Down.
This is before Phil, right?
This is right before.
Right.
In the same breath, they had probably called Phil too, who, of course, in New Orleans, and knew him from his band, and they knew me from the buzz. We and Phil both had a buzz. I'm sure they were talking to 10 other people or more.
Sure. Right.
But yeah, their dad, Mr. Abbott, I'll call him, called me in a week. Then I turned him down, and a week later, because Ron had just joined the band. Watchtower was back in business.
Right.
This is all pre-Dangerous Toys. There was no offers on the table that would get me out of a financial situation, that would get me writing my own music, because Watchtower, it was, sure, it was my thing, but I didn't write the lyrics. I wrote the melody lines,
the vocal melodies, right.
Vocal maps and such for that. So, but anyway, that's another story. So, I turned down these auditions. And you have to think about it at the time. The irony here is Pantera was a little bit more of like a butt rock band.
Yeah, they were a glam metal band.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. They were heavy, but they were closer to like a mean Def Leppard, something
so this was after Terry Blaze left, right?
Correct. They were without a singer, and they wanted to make a change. And, this is with, how popular Metallica and all the thrash bands and underground shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that was a major influence on the brothers, So anyway, yeah. And then, so Watchtower's back in the game. We're playing shows. Was the end of '87. Like a year later, I was courted by some guys in this band called Onyx. They had a singer that wore all black. She was a female singer named Terry. She called herself Onyx, black hair, wore all black, Onyx. And they were
Yeah, I
like
remember that.
they were like a circuit cover band. They would play the circuit. They would leave for a couple weeks and play between Austin and Nashville, play their way back. You know, it's a lot. That's what Pantera was doing. You know, they were like in a Winnebago in a van, and they would just go all over the South and play clubs. You know, and anyway, so they had that kind of thing going on, but of course, Pantera had, you know, three records out by that point.
Right. Who are those records on? Do you remember? They were Metal Blade, right?
No, they were on their own label, I believe.
Their dad sort of set something up, right?
Yeah, like Pantego Records or something like that. That was the
Yeah.
name of their dad's studio or something like that.
Right.
Anyway, so I was touring in Austin. They came to my, you know, some burger joint or pizza place I was working at, you know, disposable job, right?
Right.
And they were like, "Hey man, what's up?" I'm like, "Hey dude, what's up?" You know, they knew Watchtower and everything. They were like, "Man, our singer is," and I think I had seen them play a couple times by that point. And they were doing, like I said, covers. They were playing, you know, AC/DC and Van Halen and Dokken and whatever and Cheap Trick and, you know, whatever. They were playing whatever.
Right.
And they were kind of looking like 80s. They looked like Rat with a girl singer, you know. And they looked like they were having a shit ton of fun, is what it looked like.
Okay.
Yeah, they were having fun. And I was like, wow, that, you know, why not? Sure, I'll come jam with you guys. You know, till you find a permanent replacement, I'll do it. Sure, it's a cover band. What the fuck? You know, I don't care. They don't care. They're just trying to make money playing covers and having fun and drinking beer because they're 20-something years old and they don't give a shit yet.
Sure.
You know?
Life's a party at that point.
Yeah,
right?
fuck it. Yeah, you're in your dumbass years, you know.
Of course.
Yeah, so you know, long story short, I joined in on the fun. We're playing a bunch of covers. They have some songs and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna try to write some lyrics to this." Oh, that sounds fun. So the first songs I ever really penned that were decent enough, I thought. I mean, what if they were terrible? It's all 2020. You know, it's all whatever. Good, bad, who cares? And so those were the first songs on the first Dangerous Toys record. A lot of those are my true first foray at hacking through writing lyrics, writing vocal lines, trying to use my voice in a singer way as opposed to just a sporadic, weird rush on speed, upside down riff, you know, fucking sickness that Watchtower is. And it was different. I had to relearn how to sing rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? It kind of in a way.
You know? Yep, for sure.
So we do that. We got some songs. We play, you know, 99% cover songs, and there's a few songs thrown in that we wrote. Hey, we play sure, whatever, you know, party time, whatever. Well, in March of '88, someone shows up during South by Southwest, which would have been the second annual music festival. It wasn't a trade show that it is now.
Right.
I mean, Metallica plays South by Southwest. It's because they have a new product out. It's product placement and management for computers and iPhones and energy drinks and shit that doesn't even have to do with art sometimes.
Exactly.
You know? So it's a trade show now, and it lasts like a month. I'm exaggerating. It's like a 2-week fucking kerfuckle now. So,
but back then it was all about music and art.
That's right. And it was like a weekend. You know, all the bars would open up their doors and everyone would have a badge and they would get in free to come see the bands that had been scheduled and it was all like producers and managers and publishing companies and labels and blah, 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 right? It was our people. It was industry music only. We didn't even know about it. It was the second annual and we had just played this club called the Back Room, which was our sort of watering hole. We weren't the house band, but we were the fucking house band, you know.
Right. You played there a lot.
We could sell it out. Yeah.
Right.
And this, you know, we got called on a Saturday. Hey, I need you guys to play tomorrow. Dude, we just played there last night. We're still hungover or whatever. Sunday night at 8:00. What? You know, that kind of shit. And the guy
Right.
was, come on, do me this favor, man. Come on. You know, the booking agent up there, a buddy of ours. There's this thing, South by Southwest, and there's a bunch of my friends are coming, and I want them to see you guys, and blah, 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 blah. We're like, really? Oh, okay. All right, whatever. I'll pay you a couple $100. Come on, play 30 minutes or what. All right, cool. So we go down and we play this game reluctantly. Sunday night at dinner time, you know, it's like,
Yeah,
what?
right.
Well, we play the set. I think I was drinking a beer and singing, you know, it wasn't our best shit. But a lady named Celine Armbeck from SBK Music, which is a publishing company from Los Angeles, was down there to see Onyx. She had gone and seen a new version of Onyx downtown, and the back room was across the river. She had gone down to 6th Street to see this band that she had seen at the first South by Southwest called Onyx, because the Onyx had apparently played it, and it was South by, and they didn't realize that, you know, we didn't even know what South by was. The Toys guys didn't know what South by was, but apparently they had played it with her a year prior. So this lady had come down to see Onyx play, and she's watching them. She's at a different club. She's watching them. This is Celine Armbeck from SBK Music. Something's different about this band. And then, like, she's hanging out with one of the locals who was actually one of the guys that worked at the back room. He was just down there because he managed Onyx.
Okay.
And his name's Bobby. And so she's like, excuse me. Yeah, well, hey, what's up? Hi, I'm Bobby. Nice to meet you. What's going on? I saw this band last year. Something's different about this band. Oh, yeah. Well, this is her new band. She had another band where they were kind of glammed out. Yeah, that's it. That's it. How come they're not doing that anymore? Everybody's got black hair and it's not glam. It's not. What's going on with this? They look stale. They sound stale. What's going on? Oh, well, they have a new singer and they're called Dangerous Toys. Take me to them right now.
Oh.
I'm done here. Bobby throws her in a cab and they rush across the river, and she catches like the last 5 songs of our set. She comes up to me after the show, to the show. And I don't work here. I'm a guest. I'm not really permanent. Right. And she goes, hi, my name's Celine and blah, 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 and I'm from Los Angeles and publishing company. And I would like to talk to you guys about signing a publishing deal. And my eyes were like, what? Well, yeah. I'm in this thrash band called Watchtower. I'm moonlighting. I'm not even really in the band, but those guys are standing 10 feet away. They're right there. Would you like me to introduce you to? Thank you for your time. She walks over to them and ends up taking them to dinner and like courting them. And so
but you don't go with them.
No, phone rings the next day because she wanted to find out the skinny. Hey, this guy says he's not really your singer. What's going on? Blah, blah,
story,
blah.
Right.
Right. So kind of an interesting part of the entire historical moment, right? And they said my dudes called me and they go, yeah, she was legit. During that same sort of time, a girl I was dating had sent a cassette tape. On one side, it was watched the latest 1987 demo, which had Control and Resistance songs on it, but with me.
I was going to ask you about that. Okay, so you do
with me singing. Oh yeah, half of Control or even more. I was in the band when those songs were written.
Involved with that then. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay,
I wasn't sure about that. I couldn't find my CD to look. Are you credited in it or
not credited? But But I put those songs together with the band. Yeah, like 5 or 6 of those songs. So anyway, one side of the tape was 4 songs from Control with me singing. Control, Fall of Reason, The Eldritch, and one more that escapes my mind right at the moment. On the other side was a live taped off the radio Dangerous Toys short set.
Okay.
We had done this thing for KLBJ called Local Licks. And Local Licks is, where they do a remote. They take a truck and they mic it up and they pump it out, broadcast live on the radio. Super cool for a radio station to do that for local bands.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they did that for us, a few months prior to that. And it was taped off of the fucking radio. So that's on one side. And Tease and Pleasing and Outlaw and maybe an early version of Sportin' a Woody were on there. And then there were some other couple of original songs on there. So maybe 6 original songs.
Hidden Instinct, is that it?
Hidden Instincts, that is it. Who
my boy N Martinez, he's all over that shit.
Knows what the fuck is going on. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I just want to point out one quick thing. I hate to interrupt, but Nate, I believe his name is Nate. Nate Martinez is the one that contacted me on Instagram and said, "Dude, I love your interviews. You got to get Jason on." So, Nate,
nice.
This one was for you, brother. So there you go.
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate you. I noticed because he's kind of the only one here.
No, we got others. We had 14 people at one point. We got 10 right now. It's the middle of the day here. So.
Right. Well, lots of what you get with live. So anyway, so people are on their lunch break and shit. So anyway, where I was going with it was she had sent this tape, Toys and Tower on one tape, out to a friend of hers who was interning at a management company in Ventura, California, Los Angeles. And we had gotten a call. The story went like Tim Heine, Tapco Entertainment is what they used to be called, and he was a great manager. Tim Heine manages Winery Dogs and Tom Kiefer and Nickelback and fucking Y&T and Keel and anyway.
A lot of big ones, right?
Rat. Yeah, he's been there, done that. He's all over. Yeah. He's a fucking great guy. Everybody knows Tim Heine. Anyway, so the tape ends up on his desk, but it's on imagine in your head if you had a band and you made a demo and you were licking stamps and sending them all over. This is the stack of cassette tapes you would want it to end up on, right?
Yeah.
Trust me. So through my girlfriend at the time, sending this tape to an intern who works for Tapco Entertainment, there's a stack and we're in the middle of the stack. And what Tim would do is he drove it. This is to atypical Corvette with a curly wire brick cell phone, early version of a cell phone.
Oh yeah, I remember those, dude. Yeah.
Fucking 80s shit, right?
80s
right out
shit.
of a Sammy Hagar video,
Yeah.
And so he's Camaro butt rock movie, he would get on the highway and he would pop in a demo tape, and if the first song didn't grab him, he'd roll down the window and chuck it out the window.
It went.
That's right. It ended up on the 101. It's now a fossil, Well, he heard Tease and Pleasing, gets on his shit, he pulls over and picks up the brick phone and calls the office. Who the fuck is this? Get a hold of blah, blah, blah. Call these people right away.
Right.
So we ended up on the phone with him, and he loved it. And he was starting a relationship with, what can we do to work together? And we told Celine about this guy, Tim. They didn't know each other.
Okay.
They were practically living across the street from each other, and they didn't know each other. Well, they did now, and they got together. So without flying out of Austin, going anywhere to sort of showcase, we played our watering hole. We played the back room for 7 labels.
Really?
Yeah.
They didn't bring you out to LA to do it, or?
No, they all flew into Austin to see us.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was a trip. The whole whining and dining and meeting people that you'll never meet again.
And this is, what year is this? 80 what? 9?
It would have been 88.
88. So
88. It happened super fast because that record came out in summer of 89. We recorded it in the winter in Los Angeles at Sound City. We recorded it.
So you're like what, 29, 28, 29?
Fuck no, 22.
Oh, 22. I'm sorry. Yeah, 60, 67, 77. Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm like 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how fast that happened.
And that led to the recording contract then?
Yeah, Celine and Tim got together and set up all those showcases with all the labels, and we signed a production deal with SBK, which means that they're middleman. Every time I sell a song, they get a point, Too many middlemen. So, yeah.
I'm gonna do this real quick here. We'll pull this up. I'll try not to fuck this up. There we go. There's the debut artwork. Such a killer. I love the artwork. I was showing a friend of mine this last night. And he's like, man, that artwork's terrible. I'm like, dude, you're fucked up, man. That artwork's killer. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's fun.
But I love it. I think it's cool. Who did the artwork for this? Because I don't have that album anymore.
The great Tommy Pons.
Okay. He did all three, right?
Well, he did. He's done all five.
Okay.
There's five.
Well, I know there's a fourth. There's a fifth album, or is that the live one?
It's the live one. Yeah.
Okay, the live one.
So those are all Tommy Pons creations.
Okay.
Yeah. The reissues that have come out on Deadline Cleopatra Records, I think Pissed, the front cover is original reissue, the front cover, but they're the Greatest Hits live album. They have jumped the shark. They used someone outside of our pool to create some kind of clown that's not our mascot, that's not our artist, that's not our, they didn't call us or anything. Hey, we're going to reissue the da 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 da. And
they went out. They just
did their own graphic, and I'm like, I don't know why they did that. And so fans are perplexed. They don't. Is this legit? What is this? Is this a different Dangerous Toys? What the fuck is this? So
there were three singles or two from that. You had Teasin' Pleasin', you had Scared, and
the first album.
Woody.
Well, they pushed Sportin' Woody because it was a fan favorite, and there were radio stations that were spinning the shit out of it. And so there was like on the Sportin' Woody CD single that was pushed at radio,
right?
Which had the clown popping out of a zipper fly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember
which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
The B-side, if you will, it also included Queen of the Nile, which would have been a fucking awesome video because we could have done the whole Egyptian thing. That would have been the same time that Slayer do Seasons in the Abyss, where they're at the
that would have been funny,
pyramids of Giza.
Well, I tell you, I mean, I had not listened to that album in quite a while, and I threw it on the other night, and I was like, man. And I had the CD, but somewhere along the line, as a collector, I don't know if you can see that. That's just some of my stuff I have out to, like you in the background. That's just about 300 CDs that I'm going through for various projects I'm working on. I've got 4,000 CDs. Somewhere along the line, I go through purging states, right? Because if I don't, I'd have 9 million things around. I don't listen to that one much, and I'm like, why the fuck did I get rid of this CD? I had to because I can't find it anywhere. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, I'll fix that. I'll get it somewhere along the line.
Oh,
but
no worries.
what I completely forgot about, Jason, was the song "Scared." I think I told you in one of my DMs to you. I was like, man, I remember leaving the bars in like 89, 90, maybe 91, whatever. And I probably shouldn't have been on the road. I'm going to be honest about that. Kids do not drink and drive. It's fucking stupid and idiotic. But I remember driving up the highway with that tune on repeat, like it's cranking, man. I'm like, man, this song is so fucking good. And I remember Headbangers played the shit out of that song, and Teasin' and Pleasin' too a lot. And but there's other songs on there like Queen of the Nile that is really like a killer song. Trying to remember the titles. What's the Friends?
Yeah, that's on Hellacious Acres, the second record. It's called.
Oh, it is? Hang on. Now I feel stupid. I thought it was the fourth song.
Hammer. There's a ballad kind of thing on the first
record.
Yeah,
what's the ballad on the first?
Feels Like
album?
a Hammer.
Yeah, that one's really cool. I'll pull it up here just so I'm not looking dumb. I already looked dumb,
good.
But there was a couple songs that really jumped out at me. Scared's like the banger of the album for me. But it Feels Like a Hammer's really cool. Outlaw's really good. Here Comes Trouble. Queen of the Nile is probably my second favorite. Outlaw's really good. It's a great album, man. And then, so you sell that album, and it does really well. It goes gold, right?
Yeah.
Did it ever go platinum that you're aware of?
I think that it's getting close, but
probably now.
You can't. I mean, now or never, right? It's been
Yeah,
like
hard to
what,
know in
30,
those early
30
days.
34 years or something
Yeah.
crazy, like longer than that, man. 36, I don't know.
Yeah, and they didn't have sound
If
scan
it took,
back in
if
the
it takes
early
30,
days.
does it count? I guess it still counts
Right.
35 years later if it finally goes platinum. I don't know.
Well, it does, and I'll tell you why. Because just last year or earlier this year, Journey's Escape went like, I don't know, 10 million, I think it was sold or something like that.
Wow.
And they made a big news thing about it. I mean, Neil Sean
Wow.
loves to be in the news but long story short, it probably would. If it hits 1 million, you'd probably know about it. The problem with that is, though, as you know, is back in those days in the 80s, they didn't have SoundScan. They didn't have the barcode thing. So it's hard to know.
SoundScan didn't start until the 90s.
90s, exactly. So you really wouldn't know really what you sold back then, for sure.
Yeah,
right?
it had to come from accounting. It had to come from accounting.
Right.
Because if you're a distributor, you're just shipping records. You're not selling records.
Mm-hmm.
You're just shipping them.
Yeah,
to
it has to come from the retail side back through, right? So
so you can ship. You can put out a new record and ship platinum. That doesn't mean you've sold.
It doesn't mean you sold all them. Exactly.
You haven't sold shit. You just they licked the stamp and sent 1 million records to stores because of demand. So that's perspective. Yeah.
So you do the second on that first album, though. You do quite a bit of touring, right? I mean,
oh yeah. I think
you
our
were doing
first
national tours. Did you get over to Europe at all?
Yeah, our first run was like 11 months.
Wow.
The end of '89, we did 2 weeks in the UK and Europe with Faster Pussycat.
Okay.
And they had just gone. They had just finished supporting Guns N' Roses over there. So yeah.
Was this on their first album or the second one?
Second, Wake Me When It's Over.
Yeah. House of Pain and shit like that on it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I saw on Wikipedia that struck me was you guys went out with Stryper.
That's a lie.
That's a lie. It's a Wikipedia lie.
So Watchtower played a show with Stryper February 20th of 1985.
Okay.
And that was fun.
In Texas or what?
Opening, yeah, at the Austin Opera House. And I remember that. I'll never forget that because the next night, February 21st of 85, Armored Saint and Metallica played a venue across the river.
Oh, wow.
Down the road. And I, of course, I'll never forget that.
Yeah, sure.
I was already buddies with or pen pals with James Hetfield. So I already kind of knew those guys a little bit, and I was a huge Armored Saint fan. So I'll never forget February 20th and February 21st of 1985.
Love that band, man. Love that.
Yeah, that was a really special time for hard rock and metal.
Yeah, it absolutely
85,
was.
84 becoming 85 is like legit. It's so legit.
Well, dude, maybe you agree with this, maybe you don't, but I think you and I are very fortunate because we've lived through, in my opinion, the two most pivotal kind of decades of rock and metal. The 70s, where you had these amazing classic. I mean, I was born in the 60s, so were you, but I don't really remember much from the 60s. I was just 3-4 years old. But
yeah,
like, my mom wasn't listening to Beatles records. I love them, love the Stones. I love a lot of that 60s music, but King Crimson, Genesis, early Genesis. But I wasn't there here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But the 70s, man, I was there as you were, and it was a golden time because you had the great rock bands, the Queens, the Rushes, all those killer bands. But you also had all that cool stuff like Kung Fu Fighting and Olivia Newton-John. My first record was Olivia Newton-John, Have You Never Been Mellow?
I love that song.
That hits me right here.
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, it's fucking killer.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm so grateful that I got, and the Bee Gees, the Saturday Night Fever stuff, man.
Yeah.
That shit is golden to me. But then,
well, that's that AM gold. That's that AM gold I was talking about.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that's on the radio in the kitchen. And when you start to absorb that and collect it, like physical
Yeah.
copies of it. That's when you become crowned nerd, right?
Yeah.
You start have a record collection. Your whole room is plastered in rock posters.
Yeah.
You have become a cliche. You are you are a rock nerd.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
It becomes part of your DNA.
Well, real quick, let's wrap up because I got to get you out of here in a few minutes. Dangerous Toys. So you put out 3 albums initially in the initial phase of the band, right?
Well, no, you depending on before people started jumping ship.
Right, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
the core of the band puts out 3 albums, right?
Yeah.
And then
on Pissed, we had Paul that introduces Paul Lydell on guitar in '94.
Okay.
So the Pissed album and the artist formerly known as album has Paul on it.
And you get to that point, and what kind of starts to happen? Is it just the attrition of the industry itself, or is it everybody starting to go, well, I don't feel like being on the road, or I don't feel like slogging? Like what's happening for you at that point?
Oh, well, I feel like it was adapt or die.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting what happens to you as a songwriter when the music that you're playing is not necessarily what the cool kids are listening to anymore. So a lot of people are forcing others to, or trying to force the hand of art to follow the dollar bill. Exactly. So wind blows, the dollar bill goes that way. Lulu, I need to go that way. Do you?
The grunge thing. You got to be a grunge band,
whatever it is. Industrial music, grunge. Those were both happening at around the same time, if you don't recall.
Yep.
And I'm talking about, you could say White Zombie, 9 Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson. Then you could say, you don't have to say Pearl Jam, Nirvana, and whatever else. So that was all happening at the same time. Anything but rock was kind of what was happening. We had become the outlaw, anything with hair and a bandana and anything that took on the demon of demonized, right butt rock, tight pants was demonized.
Well, the cliche stuff, right? Yeah.
If you didn't have by 91 92 ish, if you didn't have a career in whatever it is that you were known for, like Metallica and Megadeth and like the metal bands, Anthrax, keep going, the big 4, right? For sure. Slayer. If you didn't have a career in whatever it is you were already doing, here you go. Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi was unaffected by grunge and industrial bands like that. And what is Bon Jovi? Is he butt rock? Is he a hair band? Is he? People would lump Bon Jovi into what LA Guns, Faster Pussycat, Dangerous Toys, Junkyard, and Circus Power and Rhino Bucket were doing, which is fucking wrong.
Yeah, it's way wrong. Bon Jovi's AOR,
but they don't
radio rock.
But just on the surface, no one knows how to
adapt,
read the facts correctly.
Yeah.
So on the surface, it was all one thing. They played Bon Jovi on Headbangers Ball right next to Anthrax video.
They did,
so
that's right.
You understand why I would be upset.
Oh, yeah. That. Same here, dude.
People were asking me to sign petitions to get Headbangers Ball on there, and I would be like, here, and pen in hand, I go, wait, they're going to play Bon Jovi? Oh, then I can't sign.
Yeah.
It's, Headbangers Ball. As long as they don't play Dangerous Toys, are they going to play Dangerous Toys? I better not sign it there. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's called Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
So you can headbang to Dangerous Toys, but does it fit in with what really means a headbanger? I'm cutting hairs. I'm splitting hairs here. That's, whatever it is. If it rocks, we're going to play it. Well, you see what I'm saying? Poison on Headbangers Ball, Bon Jovi on Headbanger. Skid Row? Sure.
Yeah, Skid Row was pretty heavy, man. Skid Row was
heavier ilk, especially at the time that was.
Rat was heavier,
I agree. I agree.
Even Crew, especially those first 2 albums, and then Feel Good to a degree. But
then you're kind of getting gray area, because I feel like I've tried to separate myself, which is impossible. But with a band like Dangerous Toys or Junkyard, let's talk about Junkyard. Junkyard is not a headbanger band. They're not a hair metal band. They're like a southern rock band. Songs written by a bunch of punk rockers. That's
Yeah.
exactly what
Yep.
junkyard is. You could
Yep.
say the same thing about Circus of Power, or even maybe Rhino Bucket is not a butt rock band or a hair metal band. They're like dirty pub rock
Yep. Yep.
via
Yep.
Rose
Yep.
Tattoo, AC/DC,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Motorhead sometime. But the point, not everything should fit in this one fucking giant bucket that's called Headbangers Ball. So anyway, yeah, there was
So
that happening. There was that happening in music. So
it was that was happening, and are
you're
you guys
influenced by these people who think that they're tastemakers and think
yes,
that
they're tastemakers. That's exactly the way it is. Yeah.
they think that they know what you should be doing when the dollar bill is going that way.
Well,
It's like, I never changed my, well, yeah, I did. I did cut my hair. I wore some baggy pants. But you know what? It was kind of a fuck it place in my life.
right.
And you know, I admit to following the trends that were out there. Got to me in my songwriting. I was already afraid I was going to go bald. I might as well cut my hair, you know.
Really?
I was working a bunch of disposable jobs,
Right.
because I wasn't touring. You know what I mean? There was all these, there was affect to what was happening. And
Yeah.
I don't really have any regrets or anything, but it was more of like a learning experience. Oh, this is what's happening now. Okay, well,
Let me
that
ask you.
actually,
Let me ask you
know,
this question.
it got to all of us a little bit. So
Can I ask you this question? You don't have
Sure.
to answer if you don't, but I'm very curious. You guys had some significant, what I would call significant success, particularly with the first album, right?
Mhm.
Did you see a good chunk of money? You don't have to get into figures, but did you actually see a good chunk of money from the actual record deal or publishing, or did you see it from merch and touring? Like, what, I'm just curious about that. Or did you go out on tour and come home and be like, what the fuck, man? I got I got no money in the bank.
Let me give you sort of like a
Nutshell.
blob answer. Yeah.
Okay.
The advances on the shopping list that you just created, as well as one you didn't mention, would have been a merchandising deal.
Mm-hmm.
All of that money they budget or they give you supposedly is like borrowing from a bank.
Yes.
Sure, you get to keep the money, but if your record sales don't sell, if you are not good and you don't recoup that money through record sales, you're like the redheaded stepchild. They don't
Right.
really love you anymore. They don't
Right.
really want to try to develop you as a band.
You're already on the way out.
In kinda, unless your relationship with them is a little bit different, and you know they believe that you have some kind of potential or there's something else. But by the time grunge and industrial pop music, I'll just call it, came around and was all over the radio. And I remember the day I heard Metallica on the radio. I'm talking the Black Album, of course.
Right.
That Whiplash is not on the radio.
Exactly.
I'm talking AOR reporting radio. When you hear Metallica, it's like, uh-oh, shit has hit the fan. 9 Inch Nails and White Zombie on the radio right next to it. Those are hands of God reaching into radio and tapping on the DJ and going, hey, dumbass, these guys are selling millions of records right now and you're not playing them on the radio. Guess what? You're a dumbass. You have to change your format. Program managers are getting fired. New people coming in. New bands are being played. Old bands who now are the new shit who finally had a hit record are being played. That's when the changing of the guard kind of happened. Back to your question. Money in the bank. So whatever monies were given that were considered like an advance that weren't supposed to be part of the budget for recording a record or living expenses while recording or working or whatever.
Right.
Those went into an account. To sum it up, we lived like what we thought was fairly comfortable off of about $500 or $600 a month that would show up in our account every month. Now, that's
Wow.
not very much money.
That's not much money at all, man.
But we lived off of that for a handful of years, like 4 years, until till it ran out, till we had to, we had lost the deal. We were working for independent labels all of a sudden. We
Right.
still had money in the bank. We were living off of that. We would
Right.
do a tour, we would put the money in the bank, and we would all disperse that evenly and like a salary. But it
Right.
was only about $500 or $600 a month, something like that. So it was very meek.
See, and that will show people that, despite what you think, you guys had a 500,000+ selling first album, and you were living in the 90s off of a pretty meager salary. I mean, you were living like very middle class.
Lower middle class.
Probably lower middle class. I didn't want to say it. I'm glad you said it. But I mean, because I know I got my first job in 94, my first real job, like professional job. Before this, I was buzz cut and Mr. White Collar, HR guy. And, I was making $48,000 a year in my first job in 94, which is pretty good money. That's not bad money to live off of at that point. Oh, yeah. So for those people out there that are watching this thing, the big rock stars, man, the big rock stars, that's a sobering tale. And that's why I wanted to ask you, because I figured you'd kind of be forthcoming about the reality.
No, by 93, I was looking for a job.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, I did. I've done it all. I've roasted coffee beans. I've worked construction. I worked for a law firm for a while.
Well, speaking of that, you're working now at the School of Rock, right? You do that?
18 years.
Can you talk a little bit about that quick and tell us about what that's all about?
Yeah, in 2005, a buddy of mine who was opening for the corporate company, because there's a lot of franchises. We have like 500 schools worldwide, like literally Brazil, Sweden, everywhere. And it started in like, I don't know, 2001 or something in Philadelphia, actually. By a guy named Paul Green, right? So he eventually sold out all his shares, and he has something else going on now, and yada yada. That's the story that I'm sticking to for that. But 2005, my buddy who was opening a corporate school for the School of Rock called me and go, "Hey, I need a vocal coach." I went, I'm like, "What? How can I? I've never taught. I'm not a teacher.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck? How am I gonna, I figured it out. I've been with the school 18 years. It's life-changing. Seeing young people and young musicians, and I teach adults too, like figure it out and like become an artist and learn a lot about something that they whether it's a hobby or a true passion. It's fantastic and very, very, very rewarding. I'm a show director as well. Because we put on every season, we put on like 10 shows.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And yeah, it's fun.
And you said it's kids and adults too.
Yeah. Okay. The adults right now, the adults are doing a Michael Jackson versus Prince. And next season, which this season's about to wrap up, next season we're doing Led Zeppelin with the adults. Right now,
that'd be a good one for you.
Right now, my kids are doing I'm directing a Heart show, and I'm directing a Southern Rock show. So Southern Rock is like a greatest hits kind of thing, right?
Okay, Skinner and Hatchet and all
whatever.
That
yeah, all of that. Yeah.
Speaking of Led Zeppelin, real quick, I gotta throw this out there. My daughter lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and she works a nonprofit. She's it's a children's fund thing, and she does a lot of canvassing. And she was walking down the street. This is about a month ago. And she calls me up. She's like, "Oh my God, Dad, you're never going to believe this." I'm like, "What's up?" She goes, "I just met Robert Plant walking down the street in Asheville, North Carolina." I'm like, nah, it just had to be some dude that looked like him. And she's like, "Oh no, it was really him." Yeah. And here he had 2 bodyguards with him. And he just played there with Alison Krauss like the night before. I'm like, I looked at the routing up because I thought she's got to be dreaming this. There's no way, right?
Yeah.
walking down the street in Nashville, right? I mean,
Yeah, he lived in Austin for a while. He was dating a local artist named Patty Griffin. And
oh yeah,
I apologize, I might be speaking out of turn. They were, I don't know if they were an actual item, but he
Mhm.
was living with a lady, an artist, a local artist, Patty Griffin
Okay.
here in Austin, and he would go to the little mom and pop guitar shop and hang out for hours. He
No
would go
way.
to the little pub next door, and they had a table reserved for him in the 2 years or whatever that he lived there. No, that's Robert's table.
Well, I got a question for you on that. Do you get recognized when you're out around? Have you ever had someone walk up and go, "Hey, man, I know you"? Or, I mean, when you're not at a show, when you're not in an area for a show, like, to be honest with you,
You mean at the
I
grocery
know
store?
you. Would I know you if I ran across you on the street, though?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. If you had sunglasses on and a hat, I might not know
Yeah,
you.
that should answer your question.
What's that?
Like, well, yes, if you know who I am.
Oh, okay. Right,
If
right,
you
right.
know what I look like. I mean,
Okay.
I could have my hair in a ponytail and
Sure.
sunglasses on and a baseball hat.
I'd never know you.
People would be like,
Maybe the
that
tattoos.
looks like
Yeah.
Jason. Is that you? Yeah. Hey, what's
Yeah.
up? You know, so yeah. So yeah, yes, I do, like at the grocery store or whatever. Yeah, sure.
That's cool. Real
It's
quick,
not-
my
it's
buddy
not-
Alan says,
not
just
very
got out of
often, but
class.
yeah.
He's a professor. He says, cool guest today, as usual. You know, I
Well,
bring him in hot, man.
An-
Well, look, I want to
anybody
get you out of here real quick, but I did have,
Yeah.
I did want to ask you about, and I'd love to have you back and talk about some of your other stuff that you do, because we just don't have time to do it all today. But I picked this up. Are you familiar with Vintage Vinyl in New Jersey? Were you familiar with that shop?
Yes, I've heard of Vintage Vinyl. I've seen
Big store down there.
Yeah.
Huge
Yeah.
store. They do like in stores and all that stuff. So they went out of business in July, I think, of 2 years ago. My buddy lives right down the street. He's like, hey, I'm running over there. I don't think there's going to be much there. It's like 60% off or whatever. And he saw this and he's like, man, I see Gorguts on here and I see Necrophagist and Obscure. You love that weird shit, Jeff. Do you want this? I'm like, well, who else is on it? He says, Jason McMaster. I'm like, grab it, dude, grab it. And
Nice.
So I grabbed this and I listened to this, and man, dude, this might be your most extreme out there vocal performance I've heard.
You might be right. The second Howling Sycamore,
I don't have that one.
7 Pathways to Annihilation, might give that record a run for its money.
Well, someone asked earlier, will there be another one, or do you know? Is that just one of those maybe?
I was really running and gunning with David Tissot, the mastermind behind those records.
Okay.
Up until a year or so ago, and we were talking a lot, and then I think that he ran into some trappings of life, and had to take a second and figure it out. We were supposed to talk. This was right around the lockdowns were sort of loosening up a little bit,
Right.
and we were going to get together and talk about a third record, which I would still love to do. Never say never,
Okay.
But I'm writing a record with Jack Frost right now.
Why don't you update us on exactly what you got going on?
Yeah, I'm writing a record. There's no deadline, so I've been given the flag to take my time.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Frost I'm writing with David Austin from Nasty Savage.
Am I wrong? Is Jack Frost playing with Aldo
Nova
right now?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought
Yeah.
I saw that. I'm like, wow, check that shit out, man.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
he has he every once in a while puts out a record by his project called Seven Witches.
Yes.
And Alan Tecchio, who sang on Watchtower, Control, and
That's
Resistant,
right.
he did a Seven Witches, and then tomorrow, actually, Watchtower's playing in San Antonio tomorrow, and James Rivera from Hellstar is opening for Watchtower. Ironically, James Rivera has also done Seven Witches records with Jack. So
Solitude Aeternus, James Rivera?
No, that's in Dallas. James and Hellstar are from Houston.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, no, I knew that, but I was thinking James Rivera. That was
Solitude. No, No.
Yeah.
Solitude
Doom band?
Eternus is a different, totally different group of guys.
Different James. Okay, gotcha.
Correct. Different James. And then writing a little bit that in hopes that it'll turn into a new Dirty Looks record, whether that's cringy or not to people. Writing new Broken Teeth material. I'm in the middle of writing a new Ignitor record. We have about 5 tunes, and I've finished 2 songs. So I've done 2 with Jack, 2 with Ignitor, probably 4 with Broken Teeth. I've got to change hats.
Yeah, you got a whole bunch of different hats, right?
Change
Will there
hats.
ever be a Watchtower album that you could foresee, or is it just probably not like?
They put out a 3rd record called Concepts of Math Book 1,
Right?
and it's out there. It's available. I don't know.
But you're singing again for them, right?
Well, I'm in the band for these live shows coming up.
Yeah, the live shows, right?
Yeah, we're playing tomorrow, and we're playing in Germany in a month at Keep It True. We're playing in January here in Austin. Tickets are still available. Tomorrow is sold out, but tickets for a larger venue in Austin at Come and Take It Live. You can go to comeandtakeitlive.com and buy Watchtower tickets for the January 5th show. And then
I got all the links. I got all the links for everything. Everything cool. I think for everything you're involved in down below in the description.
And then Watchtower. The last thing that we have booked is in March, like March 26th, I think. It's a weekend around the end of March. Hell's Heroes Festival.
That's gonna be cool, man.
Yeah, and
that's a good one.
Has Queensryche on it, and
Forbidden's back.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know who's playing on the same day we are, but it's everyone's playing now. But the big bands, I guess, would be Forbidden and Queensryche.
Yeah, that's killer, dude. I wish. I can't really travel. I've got some health issues that are precluding that, but I would love to come down and see that. But so maybe some Howling Sycamore. You got some Dangerous Toys dates too, right? Couple.
Yeah, we're playing. So tomorrow I'm in San Antonio with Watchtower, and Saturday I'm in fucking Denver with Dangerous Toys. So it's like, thank you, good night, Watchtower show. Boom, boom. Get in the car, go to the fucking airport. Yeah.
Put the different hat on, right? The different hat.
Yeah, welcome to my world. That's kind of what it is. But it's great to be able to do multiple styles of hard rock and metal music and be creative with friends and people that I've known for what seems like my whole life, 40 years or more.
Yeah.
Broken Teeth's been around for, 25 years, and Dangerous Toys has been around for 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Watchtower's been around for
40 years. Yeah, 40 fucking years. And just to be able to be creative and perform and shit, dude, to be able to wake up and stand up is a gift,
At this stage, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. Last thing, man, talk louder, because that's something you also got your hands in. That is your podcast with Dave Glessner. I almost said Dave Glessner. I don't want to do that.
No, it's fine.
Talk a little bit about that. That is also linked. I just linked the YouTube page, but they can find on your website all the podcast sites.
Yeah. Talk Louder Podcast. Yeah, talklouderpodcast.com is the website. But that all started during the pandemic. Yeah.
Yep.
So Jared, our producer for the podcast, who's also a main songwriter in Broken Teeth, calls me and Dave one day during the lockdown and said, hey, what about a podcast, you guys? When you guys get together, you guys nerd the fuck out.
Hell yeah.
Why don't we put that on YouTube? And I'm like, what? Oh, that sounds fun. And to finish the story, it was like, we do a couple and it's like, what's for dinner, kind of thing, like writing it off like, been there, done that. And he goes, no, dude, you need to conceive like 200 episodes. And me and Dave were like, what? So it's been ongoing. We've been doing this going on our 3rd year now. And I don't even know how many episodes. I don't know, 180 I don't
No
know.
way, really?
Yeah,
I've watched quite a few. I only kind of came into you guys maybe 6 months ago or so, and I enjoyed Jeff Wagner on it. Jeff, I kind
yes.
of know him through I don't know if you know Marty Worm Gear, Metal Maniacs. Marty Rithkinen's a buddy of mine. He does
Okay.
he does a show, Heavy Metallurgy, which actually with Alan, Let's Talk Metal, is his co-host on that. We do it every
Cool.
Friday night. I'm going to be on this Friday nights where we're going to talk about perfect 10 albums that have one small flaw on them. So that's not an easy list to put together.
That
man.
is some super nerd shit. I would
Dude,
fail. I would fail at that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about before I let you go. I do, other than the interviews, which I've done about, I think you're like close to my 40th at this point. What I was curious about was I do these deep dives on bands. So could be Rush, could be Porcupine Tree. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. Porcupine Tree. I used to kind of work for their manager, a whole bunch of nerdy shit I did for the band. But long story short, I pick these bands and then we literally dig in granular style on the catalog. And so I've had like Kevin Huffnagel's been on for Death and for Fates Warning. Him and I did a 4.5 hour Fates Warning deep dive on we just nerded out for 4.5 hours on the music. And I hate to say it, I sang quite a few songs, not nearly as good as John Arch, not nearly as good as Ray Alder, but I tried. I'm unabashedly unashamed on my show. But if you ever wanted to join me, man, I might check in with you and say, hey, dude, you want to jump in on this one? And if you're available and you dig it, man, I'd love to have you back. But, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's all about availability.
Yeah, I know you're a busy cat. I would like to get you back in one time to kind of go over the stuff we didn't get into. So let me know if that's a possibility.
Yeah, sure. Before we go, you're wearing a Fifth Angel shirt.
Absolutely. Ken Mary and Ed. I've done interviews with Ken, with the whole entire band. Have you heard the new album?
No, but I have a little story I want to leave you with.
This fucking album rules.
Nice. I'm ashamed to say I don't really know a whole lot about the band. I know who Ken fucking Mary is.
You got to fix that, dude. You got to listen to this.
Yeah.
album.
So here's where, just before my brain explodes, do you remember Raider Record in Hit Parader magazine?
What was it called?
Well, I don't remember if it was called Raider Record. I think that Raider Record was actually something they did on American Bandstand. But
yeah, I remember Hit Parader. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but Hit Parader magazine, they had this section in the magazine where they would have other bands listen to the new album by another new band and rate it.
I'm scared to hear this.
And rate it.
Yeah.
Well, Hit Parader magazine had Fifth Angel review the first Dangerous Toys record.
And
so they're listening to Scared. And I had never made the connection, but it took someone like the guys in Fifth Angel, and I apologize, I don't remember who it was because at the time I had never heard of Fifth Angel, and I know who Fifth Angel is now because of this story I'm telling.
Okay.
But I've never really heard any of their songs, and to be fair, I don't know shit about them. But I know who Ken Mary is. So
I'm going to guarantee you, if you listen to this album, Jason, you're going to go, dude.
What have I been missing? Yeah. So anyway, these are smart fellas. Let me tell you, because this Hit Parader review, dude, this would have been in 1989.
Right.
Okay. So they're listening to Scared, right? And they're obviously hearing the chorus because I'm reading their banter. They had sent in their banner, or they actually, I think, did this with the editor in the room. So they were probably taking notes on what, taking dictation of what the guys are saying about the songs that they're listening to. So they're listening to Scared, and someone in Fifth Angel is going, it sounds like Rio from Duran Duran. Dude, my fucking hat blew off. It blew my mind because they're fucking right.
They're 100% right. Now here's the funny song. Here's the funny part.
The whole thing is funny because I agreed with them from that day on. They had my respect, and I didn't even know it. And I mean, it's a different key, and the lyrics are obviously different. It's not exactly the same what's going on.
Yeah, but you know what though?
But that harmony that whole thing that's happening right there, we didn't
That's
even know
not a
it.
diss. That's not a diss, dude.
It's
at
not.
all.
I love Duran Duran.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
Here's the funny story. Their second album, they were signed, they were picked up with a $7 million option, blah, blah, blah. They never saw any of that money. They got picked up. They were on Varney's label, on Shrapnel for this album, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Terry Date of
Yeah.
Pantera
Yeah.
fame.
Yeah.
First album he ever produced was this album. Okay.
Nice.
The second album, Time Will Tell, Epic got in there, was like, dudes, we need some more hits. We need radio, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
it's a little more polished, still very good, but they have a song on there called 7 Hours, and it goes 7 hours. Da, 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 da. It's LOVE. All I need's my love. It's the same exact. And I said it to Ken. He's like, oh shit, you're 100% right. We didn't mean to do it. I'm like, dude, it's Love Machine. Exactly. It happens. It's just,
yeah. Well, I'm glad you told me that story, because now I can hold that on them just like I held Rio on
I said
me.
it. I had Ed, the guitarist, on back in July, and I'm like, Ed, dude, we got to talk about 7 hours. And he's like, I know, man. I know. I know what you're gonna say. I watched your interview with Ken. I'm like,
nice,
dude. He's like, I swear I didn't. It was, he was like kind of fumbling around. It was so funny, man. It was hysterical.
Well, it's and once again, it's not enough to be, like lawyers have to call each other and shit, So it's kind of interesting. But to and I know I gotta go, but I'll leave you with this. When you think about, hey Mickey, Tony Basil.
Yeah.
Mickey,
hey,
you're
Mickey,
so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey Mickey, and then
Mickey.
you think about It's Tricky. It's Tricky by Run DMC.
Yeah.
Rock around. That's right on time. Hey Mickey.
It's the exact same thing. Yeah.
It's the same exact thing. Run DMC just slowed it down, but it's the same rhyme. It's the same cadence. It's the same exact thing. So it does happen, and no one
12
gets
notes,
hurt.
man. 12 notes, right?
That's right. There's only 12 notes.
You can't get away from that shit.
Well, you put all 12 notes in a jar and you shake them up and you pour them out, and that's your new record. What are you going to do? Exactly,
man. Well, listen, dude, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. It's been super cool talking to you, and hopefully I can reach out to you again, and maybe you'll jump on, and we'll do something again together. Real quick, Vinyl Archivist, who is actually a Texas boy, believe he's Dallas. He's asking present stores from the San Antonio area. Don't expect Jason to remember. Sorry, here we go. But the band I was working for at the time opened for Dangerous Toys at Backstage in Houston right after they got signed. What was the name of the band? Presence, Prezenc.
Well, there was a band, and he mentioned San Antonio right before that. There was a San Antonio band called Presence that had Sean Somm on guitar. And
yeah, that's it. San Antonio.
Sean Somm is the brother of Shandon Somm, who I had a Kiss tribute band for a while called Sick, just Kiss backwards.
Oh, right.
And I know the Somms, and I know Presence. Presence opened for Metallica Armored Saint at that February 21st. It was supposed to be Wasp headlining, but they canceled, so Metallica headline, Armored Saint in the middle, and Presence was the opening. That's a whole other story.
Patrick remembered. I had Monty Colvin from Galactic Cowboys on a couple weeks ago, and I'm sure know those guys or have been around those guys maybe at some point. King's X-Boys, the Houston guys, but he's been the haunts
very little, but
really? Okay.
Yeah. I've been in the same room with those guys.
Yeah.
Those bands are amazing, but didn't really cross a whole lot of path with them.
All right, man, we got to roll because I got to get Jason out of here. Give me 1 sec, Jason. I'm going to end things. Thanks, everybody that jumped in. We had 15 people at one point, which is pretty cool on the middle of a late morning here on the East Coast. That's pretty badass. Jason, thanks for doing this, but hang on 1 sec, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Peace out, everybody.
Thanks.